Thanks for joining me. Hope you're doing well. At the center of the flat Earth plane is where we find the aurora borealis. It shoots out of an opening, a holy hole. Through this vortex is a paradise that has gone by a plethora of names, one of which is the Garden of Eden. As I've been explaining, when we go through this vortex, we go to inner Earth, powered by the black sun. And when we drink from the living waters below, our physical avatars are renewed. We make the transition from 3D to 5D. The first book of Adam and Eve reveals exactly this. This lost book of the Bible is a written history of what happened in the days of Adam and Eve after they were cast out of the garden, out of paradise. On the third day, God planted the garden in the east of the earth, on the border of the world eastward, beyond which, towards the sun rising, one finds nothing but water that encompasses the whole world and reaches to the borders of heaven. And to the north of the garden there is a sea of water, clear and pure to the taste, unlike anything else, so that through the clearness thereof one may look into the depths of the earth. And when a man washes himself in it, he becomes clean of the cleanness thereof, and white of its whiteness, even if he were dark. And God created that sea of his own good pleasure, for he knew what would come of the man he would make, so that after he had left the garden, on account of his transgression, men should be born in the earth. Among them are righteous ones who will die, whose souls God would raise on the last day, when all of them will return to their flesh, bathe in the water of that sea, and repent of their sins. But when God made Adam go out of the garden, he did not place him on the border of it northward. This was so that he and Eve would not be able to go near to the sea of water where they could wash themselves in it, be cleansed from their sins, erase the transgression they had committed, and be no longer reminded of it in the thought of their punishment. This sea of water that's described is indeed the living waters of the Holy Grail through the center void, which when we drink from we gain everlasting life and a higher consciousness free from duality. Adam and Eve cried for having come out of the garden, their first home, and indeed when Adam looked at his flesh, he cried bitterly, he and Eve, over what they had done. We can get a rough picture of what's happening here. The story of Adam and Eve means many, many things, but one of which is that we somehow left inner Earth to this side of the plane. I've suggested before that we may have came here to experience duality and a denser reality. We may have been manipulated into coming here, or perhaps it was by accident. Whatever the case is, our flesh was altered upon coming here, meaning our bodies were not as etheric. They now were incredibly dense and three-dimensional. And they walked and went gently down into the cave of treasures. And as they came to it, Adam cried over himself and said to Eve, "Look at this cave that is to be our prison in this world, and a place of punishment. What is it compared with the garden? What is its narrowness compared with the space of the other? What is this rock by the side of those groves? What is the gloom of this cavern compared with the light of the garden? What is this overhanging ledge of rock to shelter us, compared with the mercy of the Lord that overshadowed us?" This passage is not talking about a literal cave, it's talking about our current domed realm. The overhanging ledge of rock is the ice wall that surrounds us. It is this ice wall which the dome is fastened to. We are all in this cavern right now, this place of punishment. What is the soil of this cave compared with the garden land? This earth strewed with stones, and that planted with delicious fruit trees. And Adam said to Eve, "Look at your eyes and at mine, which before beheld angels praising in heaven, and they too without ceasing. But now we do not see as we did. Our eyes have become of flesh. They cannot see like they used to see before." Adam said again to Eve, "What is our body today compared to what it was in former days, when we lived in the garden?" Then Adam cried and said, "O God, when we lived in the garden, and our hearts were lifted up, we saw the angels that sang praises in heaven. But now we can't see like we used to. No, when we entered the cave, all creation became hidden from us. And Adam and Eve went from before the gate of the garden to the southern side of it, and found there the water that watered the garden from the root of the tree of life, and that split itself from there into 4 rivers over the earth. Then they came and went near to that water, and looked at it, and saw that it was the water that came forth from under the root of the tree of life in the garden. I've said numerous times before, the tree of life was a real tree at the center. It was cut down along with all of the other giant trees, and now there's a cosmic mountain usually called Mount Meru. This mountain sits right near the holy hole. I've showed this map before. It's a 16th century map of the North Pole, showing the magnetic mountain with 4 rivers. When me and my blood brethren take the journey to the center, we will take a dive off of Mount Meru into the void. So we have engaged in blood over intent. I want to make it clear that nobody is shedding their blood for knowledge or external blessing. It's for the benefit of all. We are shedding a few drops of our blood for 3 reasons. To counter the elite's black blood magic, tearing down this matrix of control with our divine intent. Their blood magic, in part, builds up this matrix of control with their evil intent. We can tear it down with our divine intent. To permanently align ourselves with the principles of truth and love by releasing the spell of the demiurge and the moon's square waves, and therefore gaining access into the North Pole entrance when we take our journey in 2019. Intent is the seed that drives all of reality. You must intend something to happen before it comes into fruition, and we are intending to bring forth heaven on earth. There must be a benchmark as to who is allowed into paradise. Blood over intent is that benchmark. If you're already on a path of truth and knowing thyself, spill your blood over your intent. It's another tool that we can use to change the collective, and doing this will allow us to pass the flaming sword when we make the journey to the center.
Blood has been used for evil designs and to suppress and in most cases prevent our collective intention of goodwill from registering with the Black Sun, which is why we are living far below our divine potential. Now, even if you don't believe that the world we live in is a flat plane, that our sun works in synergy with the Black Sun, and that our leaders are not for the common good of all, you have to agree that the intention to bring Earth into a state of heaven is a good thing.
You create heaven on earth here yourself. You don't need somebody else to do it for you. You have to have the mindset that it's already here. You're already living it out. Once you see that this is not the place that you come from, and you are going to go back to that place, you choose when you go back to that place.
In 2009, a PlayStation game was released titled Uncharted Golden Abyss. In the game, they try to get to Shambhala, another name for the Garden of Eden. The character places the Spear of Destiny as a key inside of a keyhole, showing them the way to paradise.
Chloe, I know where that is. The entrance to Shambhala must be right here.
You see, he marked the center of the map. X marks the spot. Get to the Holy Grail, to the Black Sun.
So the inner Earth, the inner Sun, is the Black Sun.
Yes.
But it's got a residue of a light round it.
Yeah.
As at the energy shell round it, which provides light for the inner Earth.
Right.
Which is on the lower side of the Earth's crust.
Yeah.
Is this? We're just talking about it in a mechanical 3D way.
Okay.
And then that's the real inner Earth, whereas the underground tunnels, which are maybe a few hundred feet down, or half a mile down, or a mile down, those are nothing to do. We're not talking about.
Well, there's oceans and forestry and all sorts in the pockets in the inner Earth.
Yeah. There's oceans and there's there's forests and oceans and beaches and the fruit that is there is incomparable to anything that's here because it's so polluted. The surface is so polluted. There's pockets in the inner Earth. So there's plenty of reptilian species in there as well, but they all have force fields around, so they're separated off.
According to Jean-Claude Frere, the people of Hyperborea, after migrating to the Gobi Desert over 6,000 years ago, founded a new center, which they named Agartha. However, there was a huge catastrophe, and the Earth's surface was devastated, but the realm of Agartha somehow survived under the Earth. The legend continues to relate that the Aryans now split into two factions, one group returning to their long-lost Hyperborea, and the second founding a new secret center on the Upper Earth. According to Miguel Serrano, Agartha and Shambhala are two cities within the inner Earth, and Hyperborea lay beyond the green light of the black sun. So sometimes Agartha is a realm, others a city. Some have even said Shambhala is the capital city of Agartha. Whatever the case is, and the actual truth, these places exist, and 2019 is the year we finally will be making a mass migration to this paradise land. We will cross the Bifrost Bridge through the void that is our 8th chakra. Nicholas Roerich was a famous Russian explorer who traveled Tibet in the 1920s and 30s in search of adventure and enlightenment. In 1930, he finally published his work Shambhala. In it, he wrote, "Shambhala itself is the holy place, where the earthly world links with the higher states of consciousness. Certain indications put this place in the extreme north. The rays of the aurora borealis are the rays of Shambhala." In the book of Enoch, Enoch speaks of going to the middle of the earth and seeing a sacred mountain. "And I went from thence to the middle of the earth, and I saw a blessed place, with branches abiding and blooming. And there I saw a holy mountain. Underneath the mountain to the east there was a stream, and it flowed toward the south. And I saw towards the east another mountain higher than this, and between them a deep and narrow ravine. In it also ran a stream underneath the mountain." Our compass needles are attracted to a north polarity because Mount Meru is a magnetic mountain and it's pulling it there. So we know our destination, we know how to get there. We might not know everything about the place we're going to, but we know paradise is right over there. So everybody, make videos, make compilations, keep spreading this truth. The game plan for 2019 is simple. Right now, we are filling the Ethernet with proofs and videos pointing to the Holy Hole. Through this, we are spreading blood over intent. Myself and fellow YouTuber Quasi-Luminous and a few others will make our initial journey in 2018 to chart out the route and come back with video evidence. Then, in 2019, our blood brothers and sisters will all make a journey to the center in a mass exodus. This is happening. I'm putting this out into the collective. I think all of you should too. The more we project for 2019, the more this will become reality. Our blood is sacred. When we upload it into the ether over our intent, an alchemical transmutation occurs, and this is an ancient secret. We must follow the black sun to Hyperborea. Spill your blood over your divine intent, and until next time, I love you all.